So when I was a kid, instead of watching cartoons all day or sleeping in on Saturdays like everyone else, I had to get up early for Chinese school. Hi, my name is John Lee, and welcome to my channel, Canton Malo. In the Midwest, there aren't a lot of Cantonese people around, so there weren't Cantonese Chinese schools in my area. I do hear that there are some across the countries in some major cities like San Francisco or New York City or Dallas, but they weren't any in my area, so I had to go to Mandarin Chinese school. Most Chinese programs will rent out another school or a church or a community center. So mine rented out a middle school in Metro Detroit area. My Chinese school, because it was for Mandarin, they already assumed that you know how to speak it at home. So there wasn't a lot of focus on actually speaking it. It was mostly on, reading, writing, and grammar, and just memorizing more and more characters. Because of that, I had a lot of struggles throughout, especially with grade 1. It was just straight to pinyin, which is the Chinese pronunciation that we use to learn how to sound out a character. But a lot of kids already knew how to joke with the teacher. They already knew how to make fun of each other in Mandarin. It was really tough for me, being a Cantonese speaker that kind of knew what they were doing, but I really wasn't getting it as quickly as they were, since they were really just there to learn how to read and write. For the most part, it was really great to meet a lot of other Chinese Americans in my community, and I had a lot of fun throughout the years, in general, just learning, even though it was 9 a.m. on a Saturday and it was about a half-an-hour drive. Today, I wanted to cover, 5 things that you might not have known about Chinese school in America, at least from my perspective in my Chinese school in Metro Detroit. Number 1, there are actually 11 grades that my school offered. I do hear that some schools across the country do all the way up to 12, but our school only had 11, and the 11th grade was actually optional. So I only went up to grade 10, and then I graduated. There was actually a graduation ceremony and everything. You start out, in grade 1. Some people do opt in with kindergarten to just kind of be with other kids and do some simple Chinese characters maybe, but the real instruction starts in grade 1, where they teach you the pinyin, the brush strokes, and how to look up words in a dictionary, and how to read and write. That really all starts in grade 1. I pretty much studied all the way up to grade 10, and grade 10 is where you culminate into studying for the HSK exam, which is number 2. Number 2, for the HSK exam, it's the 汉语水平考试, or in Cantonese, 汉语水平考试. And it's actually a test on your abilities in Chinese. So there's a listening section, there's a reading, there's a writing, and it's all written by someone in China, and it's really to test, did you learn enough for the last 10 years. The HSK is really difficult. It was really, really hard for me, and I don't think I could listen as quickly as maybe my fellow classmates could. It was a lot of characters that we had to memorize that year. Our teachers just kept giving us more and more characters that we had to know for the exam that we might have encountered over the last, decade. It was pretty difficult, but I took it. I think I got basic proficiency or something. It was a test that we had to take. Grade 10, there's also some people that might be studying for the SAT to Chinese, which I didn't opt in for. I actually took the ACT, so I didn't deal with any of the SAT 2 subject exams. If you wanted to, for grade 11, then you can do the AP Chinese, which is really what that was for. And I decided, along with my parents, that we didn't plan on taking the AP Chinese exam, so that's why I didn't do grade 11. Number 3, so what are parents doing while we're doing our 2-hour Chinese lessons on Saturdays? So some parents might be volunteering for different things that the school needs done, so grading papers or helping teachers with anything. The kindergarten teachers might need someone to help them, ringing the bell for break halfway through the instruction. There's a lot of different things that they could be doing. They also offer classes, so commonly Tai Chi is offered, as well as some sword fighting classes, so parents can opt into that as well to pass the time during the 2 hours. They also open the cafeteria, so a lot of grandparents and also other parents will also come with us to Chinese school so that they can meet with their friends in the cafeteria and just chat, connect, and really get to know other people in the Chinese American community. It's a really great time for them. They really enjoy and look forward to Chinese school, but not because of the same reasons we do. Number 4, Chinese book fairs. That's a wonderful event. It's really great. A lot of parents get really excited about it. There are so many books that they can buy. They all come from various vendors, probably from China, and they sell all sorts of things from just novels or cartoon DVDs or science books or medical books that are written in Chinese that you might not be able to easily find in America. This was also the age before Amazon, so there wasn't a lot of ways to get your hands on Chinese books if you don't know where to look. A lot of teachers will also be suggesting different books to buy. A lot of times they'll tell us like this is the best Chinese dictionaries that we should be buying to look up words and to look up examples of how this character is used. Like it's really helpful to have a dictionary. We actually have it in one of our shelves right here. So this was probably purchased during one of our book fairs and really helps us to look up words. Maybe I'll cover that in another video to teach you how to look up a character in a Chinese dictionary. It's really different from just looking for your first letter, obviously, in an English dictionary. Number 5, so cultural classes. I did look up other ones across the states, and a lot of them do offer a cultural class component, which is just another class session after the Chinese class during the morning. The cultural class is usually, as the name suggests, cultural in nature. So a lot of people do like martial arts and fan dance, erhu, or yiwu. It's the Chinese string instrument a lot of people learn. And then drawing, just traditional Chinese art drawing. It could also get non-cultural. So I unfortunately had the benefit of taking algebra well before I actually had to know it. And while a lot of people were solving, which cereal they were gonna want to eat that morning, I was actually solving for X. So it's a ton of fun, it's totally what everyone wants to do on a Saturday. But I guess looking back, it's great that I got to see like algebra a little bit earlier than I guess my fellow classmates in school would have seen it. It helped with bonding with my dad as he taught me how algebra works, and it was great. It was really wonderful to have that experience with him, showing me how the homework is done while I was going through this cultural class back in the day. It's really enriching experience in general for a lot of people to take cultural classes, and so that's another component of Chinese school. There are other events that we do have throughout the year for Chinese school. Obviously, I did talk about the Chinese New Year Gala that we put on, where a lot of students will perform skits or poems or songs or dance. A lot of cultural classes will do their performances and demonstrations for their martial arts and their fan dances. That will happen during that time. There's also a Chinese art competition that we do for all the students that want to submit something in the Chinese school community. Yeah, there's a lot of different activities, and it's really a great way to put everyone all together and gather as a community and just get to know one another that you might not otherwise have met if it wasn't for this Chinese school being here. Looking back, I really do appreciate it. I think at the time, it was something to just dread. I mean, especially during like the winter, when it's already hard to get up 5 days a week for regular school. It was especially hard to get up early for Chinese school on Saturdays. And it was far for us, for my family, because we do live in an area where there's just not a lot of Chinese people around. So the school wasn't located right by us. It was pretty far, at least for a Saturday. Looking back, I really do appreciate my time there. I really enjoy bonding with my family over some of the traditions and holidays that we learn during class, and the different vocab words and just little things that my parents would teach me about Chinese in general. Sometimes we'll talk about how it's just totally different in Cantonese, and just be able to compare and contrast how Cantonese and Mandarin are different. That's really how my interest in language started, was just from Chinese school and just talking it through with my family as they took an interest in my studies. That's all I have for today, for Chinese school. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments below. I'll definitely answer them. It was a really big part of my life, going to Chinese school for almost a decade. It made a really big impact on my life. That's all I have for today. So thank you so much. Bye-bye.